Hi guys, this is Jennifer Mora, and this is my presentation for my final paper. So my topic was over learning disabilities, and I'm going to go over my introduction, my themes, intervention, and my reflection for my paper. Okay, so my intro. My research paper will focus on learning disabilities in the classroom. A learning disorder is a psychological disorder. In straightforward words, a disorder arises from a distinction within the approach of the brain of a person with a learning disability area unit that is wired as sensible as or smarter than their peers. For most current occupations, higher standards of quantitative and technological skills are needed, and all learners, including those with LD, which is learning disabilities, must have appropriate skills to solve problems in difficult circumstances. So, whenever they say that they need these skills, that means that students with learning disabilities tend to not be able to apply for these jobs because they will have trouble doing the skills that are needed, such as math skills, as making calculations. They might have trouble with that, so they might not be able to get that job, or if they do get that job, they might not be able to successfully complete the what they have to do in that job. So why is this topic important to me? This topic is important to me because students tend to struggle with learning disabilities and nobody can notice. A learning disability should not be seen as something that can hold back a student from achieving their goals, but rather as a trait that makes them unique. So you could be sitting beside someone in a classroom and not even realize that they have a learning disability. So it's always important to be considerate of others and people around you if they have a learning disability. How can knowing more about this topic help me as a future teacher? By knowing more about this topic, I am able to create a positive and helpful class environment for students with learning disabilities. I want all my students to feel welcome as soon as they walk into my classroom. This topic can also help me stay organized and informed about new techniques and resources to use in my classroom. So these are my themes for my literature review. I have learning disability definitions, learning disability struggles, behavior problems in students with OD, anxiety issues in students with OD, teaching students with OD, helping students with OD, classroom environment for students with OD, teacher preparation to teach students with OD, using UDL, Universal Design for Learning, mental imagery to help students with OD, visual manipulations for LD students, math LD definitions and struggles, math LD performances, math LD stress and anxiety, and lastly, helping with math LD. Learning disabilities definitions. So, learning disabilities have been an issue among many students in the educational settings for years. Learning disabilities are defined as disorders that can affect a person's ability to communicate properly, do mathematical calculations, direct movements, or attention. The most common variety of LD include having difficulty in academic work such as reading, writing, and/or dyscalculia, which is the math learning disability that it has been labeled as. Learning disability struggle. Students with learning disabilities appear to have many aspects in education that they tend to struggle with. Learning disabilities can have an effect on one's capability to understand what they see or hear, or to link information from totally different components of their brain. Students with OD tend to have low rates of psychological processing, which can cause some complications in achievement, adjustment, memorization, and maintenance of subject matter. Behavior problems in students with OD. Students with OD are to be expected to manifest a higher level of behavior problems, such as having trouble with maintaining positive social interactions and being verbally and physically aggressive towards peers. So students with OD tend to have more behavior issues than people or students that don't have LD. They tend to get a little bit more stressed, a little bit more irritated because they cannot seem to get things right, and they seem like as if they're a failure in their own eyes, even though they are not. I don't think students with LD should be labeled as failures. At an early age, children tend to recognize the importance of being academically successful by their teachers and parents. Therefore, this develops an anxiety reaction in anticipation of possible academic failure. So, at an early age, a lot of students with OD's parents, are pressuring them to always get good grades, always pass their classes. So, this gives them something to stress about, something to make them feel a lot of anxiety because they want to make their parents happy, they want to make their teachers proud, so they have all this stress among them, and they have learning disabilities, so it's a little bit of a struggle trying to balance out both. LD and anxiety. Anxiety is a specific form of emotional distress thought to be commonly experienced by students with LD. Understanding the level of anxiety typically encountered by LD students will suggest whether routine symptom assessment and the availability of anxiety reduction intervention services are warranted. Teaching students with LD. Of course, teaching students with LD can be a challenge, but there are some standards to follow in order to do this. For students with disabilities, the rising standards of the Common Core require teachers to teach students to solve long-standing problems and show complex thinking skills, such as abstract and quantitative reason. While teaching student one approach is always simpler overall, training is more successful if students in special education and general education are familiar with multiple choices and work together to make decisions about each class. In addition, it is more effective for children with developmental disorders and other special needs to make academic and educational choices based on a particular person, the mission, and the community than to use methods that reflect theory solely. So it's always good to have multiple strategies, not just go on one. So you always want to have a backup just in case, and you always want to have teaching teams in order to help each other out and figure out different strategies that you can bounce back to. Helping students with LD. While it can be a challenge to teach students with learning disabilities, there are different strategies that have been proven to work. As an educational method for engaging with children with intellectual disabilities, cooperative learning is an advocate based on a large number of findings revealing the importance for meaningful student achievement outcomes. Students with LD also tend to benefit from diagrams and other visuals because visual aids can help alleviate the amount of information that students need to demonstrate while improving their understanding of the concept addressed in the issue. In the classroom, children with developmental difficulties can use technologies to train their written speech and comprehension. So overall, engaging students in cooperative learning, which is in teams or pairs, having diagrams, pictures such as Venn diagrams, flowcharts, and using technology can help students with LD. Classroom environment for students with LD. The integration of children with learning disabilities in the general education classroom started to some degree in the late 20th century. However, there is currently no inclusion in schools that is sufficient to cause permanent reform. In order to enhance outcomes for children with learning disabilities, it is important for teachers to have advanced educational programs to maximize outcomes in areas of ability deficiencies while ensuring access to the curriculum and general education at the same time. So, a lot of schools have been trying to do where they mix general education students with special education students and see how that turns out. How to prepare to teach students with LD. Within 11 partnership and sensitive pedagogy, successful support by the classroom teacher signals acceptance, attitude, and motivation that promotes inclusion and appreciation for individual educational needs, while maintaining a sense of belonging and minimizing experiences of embarrassment and disappointment. Teachers should use their professional discretion to update effective strategies, take into account the interests of their LD students, and develop options to keep teaching meaningful and engaging. So it's always good to have a good relationship with your students, especially those who have learning disabilities. That way they can feel welcome and they can feel a sense of just safety in your classroom. Using UDL, Universal Design for Learning. So Universal Design for Learning is a teaching strategy that is one size fits all. The Universal Design for Learning structure includes a basic set of principles to be used during the course of instructional design, detailing the different ways in which we should have versatile paths to promote student mastery of learning goals. The ideals of UDL enhance a general education classroom that eliminates hurdles and promotes intellectual success for all students. Mental imagery and LD. Via mobile tech applications, mental imaging can give fantastic opportunities to people who have faced multiple mental health challenges and, more importantly, enhance their mental state, brain function, high spatial ability, vision, growth. And mental visualization can also strain learning disorders, visual capacity, memory, vision, logical reasoning, confidence, and trust through technology. Virtual manipulation and LD. Current research encourages the use of immersive visual templates when dealing with children with developmental disabilities who have individualized mathematics curriculum systems because of the potential to tailor the interference elements to instructional criteria, scaffold mathematical content, and expand the amount of practice possibilities, all of which can be integrated into rigorous practice. Via technology, in addition to web-based computer apps, students can use virtual manipulators on handheld devices such as iPads. So, as you can see in this picture, this is kind of an example of virtual manipulation. So students are able to use technology in order to learn different subjects, which is good because technology is being used a lot nowadays. Math LD struggles. So this is where I'm going to hit math learning disabilities. Next, we will cover math learning disabilities and how to help students who possess these. Students with mathematical learning difficulties appear to struggle with regulated learning, or the desire to choose and use effective methods to attain learning outcomes, leading to math anxiety and poor math performances. Many secondary students with a learning disability appear to have difficulties with early principles of numeracy, which are important for more advanced mathematics. So these are some of the struggles that students that have mathematic learning disabilities tend to have. So most of them tend to have trouble with, the basics, adding, multiplication, subtraction. So imagine if they have trouble with the basics, they're going to have trouble with the more advanced stuff. Math, LD, and anxiety. As mentioned earlier in this presentation, students with learning disabilities in general tend to experience anxiety. So also math learning disabilities are the same way. Students with LD mathematics have been found to experience math anxiety nearly twice the rate as that of their regular classmates. Math anxiety is a state of frustration caused by the execution of activities relating to mathematics and has been correlated with neurological effects equal to those of pain and elevated less of intense stress. Finally, math anxiety can also be activated by unfavorable evaluation of their math learning experience by a pupil. So if a student has a classmate that is really good at math and they sit beside them, they're going to feel anxiety because they're like, okay, they're better than me. I should not even try. Helping with math LD. Just like helping with learning disabilities in general, there are specific strategies to help students with math LD. Students with learning difficulties appear to deal with working memory problems and difficulty organizing problem-solving steps. Thus, techniques that facilitate the arrangement of mathematical knowledge and their thinking process by students will provide students with opportunities to self-support their challenging problem-solving mathematics. Teachers can also help students with developmental disability to participate in their mathematics learning by encouraging an engaging learning atmosphere. Taken together, these results indicate that for students with math learning disorders, prevention methods could provide strategies to control fear, to access their math learning interactions objectively, and to improve their math strategic thinking. So having students to, control their fear and just go for it and not let them fear anything will help their math learning disability. So this is my intervention. So my intervention will be including more visuals in my classroom. These visuals will include visual schedules, visual displays such as flowcharts, Venn diagrams, etc., visual behavior supports. So with the visual schedule, there's something like that's in the classroom that shows what to do for the day. This can be in form of timeline. So whenever discuss students with LD can know what to expect. So with displays such as flowcharts, this can help students with LD be organized and have their thoughts organized as well. With behavior supports, using less teacher involvement, visual behavior supports will attract and retain students with LD's focus and provide encouragement for students to remain on track. So this is my intervention continued. So the students' grade will be taken at the beginning of the week and by the end of the week. So they will be doing an assignment and without any visuals, they'll be graded on that as well. And then they'll do another assignment with visuals and they'll be graded for that one as well and determined to see if their grade changes. Students' time record, this will be collected every day just to see if their time on completing assignment is either shorter or it takes longer. And then we'll see if the visuals will help them with that. Students' behavior, this data will be collected daily to discover if the students have enhanced their conduct in the classroom. If the students' grades have improved or increased over the week, their time has improved, and their behavior has gotten better, then this intervention has worked. So my reflection, during this paper, I learned a lot about learning disabilities. I learned a lot of new material about this topic. One main thing that I learned is that there's different ways to help students with learning disabilities. It's not just one, it's a variety of new strategies that I've learned, such as the universal design for learning. I also learned how students' mental health can be affected when they have a learning disability. Overall, I knew what learning disability was, but never knew how to help and guide students with learning disabilities towards success until I did further research on this paper. I learned about research that is very time consuming, very stressful, but it allows you to learn more information and pursue any interest for something that you want to learn about. Knowing that literature reviews and research is part of grad school, I honestly don't feel ready just yet. I feel like I just need to do another research paper to get me going, and then maybe I'll be ready for grad school. And this is my presentation. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you learned something, and hopefully I was able to give you more information about learning disabilities.